Welcome to the Maverick Morning Skate on OmahaSportsInsider.com. I'm Nick Hanley with AM 590 ESPN Omaha, joined as always by Tony Boone of the Omaha World Herald. And Tony, when we take a look at the North Dakota series, it's interesting, myself included. I think a lot of people would look at that weekend and say, hey, you get a good performance on Friday night. Saturday, even with the loss, things looked good. You look at the pairwise and everything, standings-wise, Saturday before that final game, things were looking very good. After that Saturday loss, 3-0 to North Dakota, not only do you look at the number pairwise, the NCHC standing, but probably most importantly, some casualties from the weekend.
Oh, absolutely. I think in the long run, it becomes a weekend that you don't forget just because of that, like where you're at coming out of that. Not only, as you mentioned, in the standings and also in the pairwise rankings, but also health-wise as you move forward here to the last couple of weeks of the regular season. Losing guys like Freddie Olson and David Pope, and we don't know at this point how long they're going to be out, but it sounds like they probably won't be available for the Colorado College series this weekend. But to lose those guys after already having lost Mason Morelli earlier this year, now you're basically a team that wasn't very deep to begin with, and you're without an entire line, really. It's going to be tough for the Mavs to overcome that coming forward, but then again, they've kind of shown the resiliency to rally together and do things the right way all year long when things like this have happened.
We've been on numbers watch for a while now, and when we look at, as I mentioned, after Friday night's win, things looked really good. UNO up to number 8 in the pairwise.
Yeah, top 10.
Yes, and making their way up the NCHC standings. Now, as it stands, they're back in that sort of ill-fated 7 spot, knowing that you'd have to go to Denver in the NCHC playoffs, a place that UNO just flat out has not won in a very, very long time. But also, you look at the pairwise, they've slid all the way back to number 14, and you also start looking at that record, that Wisconsin rule people starting to talk about this week.
Yeah, it's tough because I think that everyone has been conditioned, and this includes the players on the team, that splitting in this great league is enough. Well, it is enough to keep you in the hunt, but it's not enough to get you necessarily over the hump. And now we're looking at UNO being a game over 500 with 4 games left of the regular season, a potential matchup with Denver looming if they can't move out of 7th place. And you would have to go there and win a game, and that team's beaten you 12 times in a row just to be at 500 if you'd happen to split these last 2 weekends. So it's really important that UNO understands going into these last couple of weekends, hey, splitting these series isn't going to be enough. We need to win these series, and that starts this weekend because Colorado College right now sits just above UNO in the standings. That's the team that you need to pass if you're going to avoid that Denver matchup in the first round.
We'll talk about the Tigers here in a moment, but a big weekend for UNO. And we knew going into this weekend that there could be a lot on the line just for what this team has to accomplish from a standings point in the NCHC and NCAA tournament prospects. But more importantly, appropriate to celebrate what has been a tremendous senior class, a group that's been very significant in the contributions this year, but also looking at a group that went through a Frozen Four, first ever in school history, trying to get back there too. And knowing that with the NCHC standings right now, this very well could be their last guaranteed time on the ice competitively at Baxter Arena, an arena that's been very good for them this year. So there's going to be a lot of high emotions this weekend.
Yeah, we saw that earlier this week when we had a chance to talk to the captains, and that'd be Joel Messner and Tyler Vessel. This group is kind of special to me because they were the freshmen the first year that I covered UNO hockey. So I've kind of gone through this 4-year run with them and been able to document a lot of what they've done. And you know, they've been special for the program. They obviously were a big part of that team back then because a lot of them were contributors. I mean, Messner, who's a captain now, was actually a starter in the Frozen Four game, pairing up with Brian Cooper back then. A lot of people forget that because, you know, he had kind of an up and down sophomore and junior season before he's really broken out this senior year. But you look at it, Jake Randolph had a big goal in the NCAA run that got him there. I think it was the game over Harvard in the opening round of the tournament, or he might even had the one that broke him out in the RIT game, in the game that advanced him to the Frozen Four. This has been a really special group. It's cool to see the 6 of them honored, and you know, I know that they really, really want to finish strong here because they'd love to have that first round to be back at Baxter Arena if they could do that.
Expect emotions to be high. Joel Messner even said that he doesn't know what to anticipate, but you could tell there's a lot of excitement between him and Tyler Vessel when we talked to him earlier. You look at Colorado College traditionally, Tony, this is a team that you actually like to see at this time of the year, but as you have mentioned many times when we've done this segment, is the NCHC the thing that's made it so tough this year? The top has gone nowhere. It's been the bottom that has gotten stronger, making for a very difficult week. And we saw this CC team beat the unbeatable, and that was Denver. So CC, they bring in a lot of momentum. This is a team that did take care of UNO in one of those games out there in Colorado earlier in the season, a team that used to play on the big sheet of ice. They will be playing on the NHL at Baxter Arena, but this is a very good team.
Yeah, it's a team that, kind of like we were talking about with UNO a little bit earlier, that suddenly is in the hunt now. Not only are they sixth in the standings with a chance to move up, but they're 13-13-4, I believe, overall right now. So they're at that 500 mark. They're crawling up in the pairwise, and they feel like it's a really tangible chance now for them to try to grab a hold of a spot in the NCAA tournament themselves. They're not quite there yet, but as you mentioned, they did what UNO hasn't been able to do. They went to Denver and won the other day. And not only won, they shut them out. So I'm sure that they have UNO's full attention this week. This will be a very important series. Certainly not the Colorado College team that everybody's been used to the last couple of years.
Should be a lot of fun. Once again, senior weekend at Baxter Arena. The time are back to normal. Don't worry about the early start like last week. 7:07 p.m. Friday and 7:07 on Saturday. It's Colorado College and UNO, their last regular season home weekend at Baxter Arena. You can get a full rundown of the Colorado College UNO preview at the omaha.com with Tony Boone. Big thanks to Omaha Video for providing our highlights. As always, we look forward to talking to you next week as we get ready for Minnesota Duluth, the last regular season series, when we talk to you next on the Maverick Morning Skate at omahasportsinsider.com.